Colonial Sports Center.
Hello everyone, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Colonial Sports Center. I'm Kevin Plaucha, he's Cam Macariola, and we have got a jam-packed show for you all this evening.
Yeah, we got a lot in store. Spring sports are getting into full spring, and we got basketball finishing up in Horizon League play.
That's right, the Robert Morris men's basketball team currently on the road at Cleveland State for the quarterfinals of the Horizon League Conference Tournament, and the Colonials are currently up 44-32 at the under-16 media timeout of the second half. Jackson Last just hit a three-pointer that was, well, a little bit earlier. Josh Corbin did a three-pointer to put the Colonials up 9, and then Jackson Last would hit one to put the Colonials up 12, their largest lead of the night. Colonials up 44-32 at the Wolstein Center with just under 16 minutes left to play. Cam.
Yeah, a lot of great action going on at the Wolstein Center, but earlier, to get there to the quarterfinals, there was a big event at the event center as RMU defeated IUPUI Jaguars by a score of 67-64, and Alec Miller is going to break down all the drama that happened that night. Well, it was a great game, a lot of intensity.
Yes, it was.
Big comeback going on, and Alec Miller is going to break it down.
On Tuesday night, Robert Morris hosted a playoff game for the first time since the 2019-2020 season when they hosted the NEC Championship game, and for the first time since joining the Horizon League Conference nearly 3 years ago. A big help for the Colonials on Tuesday was the student section, who showed up and packed the house and made their presence known with energy throughout the entire night, and especially down the stretch, giving the Colonials the energy they needed to finish the game. Give credit to IUPUI, who never backed down and was in the game for the whole time, and especially when down 14, they bounced back and were able to tie the game late with a big three. A key contributor on Tuesday night was graduate forward Khalil Spear, who led the way for RMU with 17 points and 11 rebounds on his way to a double-double, and he also went 5 of 6 from the free throw line. But story of the night on Tuesday, Michael Green III, who came off the bench and produced 16 points for the Colonials, 2 assists, and went 4 of 4 from the free throw line. But his biggest contributions came from behind the arc, where he was 4 of 7. All four threes coming in the second half, with 3 coming during the play, but one crucial one coming down the stretch of the game with 10 seconds left that put the Colonials up by 3 and gave them the victory. Michael Green III was able to talk about what he saw late on that led to the game-winning three.
We drew up the play in the timeout. We were able to come set the step-up screen. By the time I got to half court, it was about 7 seconds. I feel like I just made the right read. I was opening up the screen and just made the big shot, stayed poised.
For Colonial Sports Center, I'm Alec Miller.
Thank you so much, Alec, for that look at what was a fantastic first-round game for the Colonials. Now, Cam, I think it's about time that we take a look at the rest of the Horizon League Conference Tournament bracket. As I know the Colonials are in action right now. They're up by 9 at Cleveland State, and you have Youngstown State and Detroit Mercy that are in a pretty tight game. But we could take a look at the rest of the Horizon League Conference Tournament bracket.
On Tuesday night, Robert Morris hosted a playoff game for the first time since the 2019.
There we are. Now the Colonials are currently taking on Cleveland State, as we mentioned. Youngstown State, Detroit Mercy, with Antoine Davis looking to break the all-time scoring record. You have Milwaukee and Wright State, Northern Kentucky. Cam, what do you think stands out? If the Colonials were able to defeat Cleveland State, what matchup would you rather have?
If there was any team you would want to pick as a dark horse, it is Robert Morris. You're looking at them potentially facing number 1 Youngstown State. They beat them February 21st, 83-64. Number 1 team in the conference, big win at home. You look at number 2 Milwaukee, February 18th, 80-60 win. These wins weren't close. They can do it, and they know they can. So any team you want to pick as a dark horse, I'm picking Robert Morris to go the whole way.
And it's March, so anything can happen. But there's a look at the postseason updated bracket for the Horizon League Conference Tournament.
Well, as the men's team is working on finishing up their season, women's took part of their Horizon League tournament play. Let's take a look at what happened. And as you can see here, Milwaukee Panthers defeated the Colonials by a score of 64-58. The Panthers, led by Kendall Ned, with 21 points and 10 rebounds, and Mackenzie Amelia putting up 11 points. It was a hard-fought effort by the Colonials and a great effort, just coming up short in the first round.
Now, when we come back, we've got more from the Wolstein Center as the Colonials are still in a battle with Cleveland State, and the lacrosse teams were back in action last week. Stay tuned here on CSC.
Colonial Sports Center. That's CSC women's basketball.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something I can count on to be free.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center, and we are still keeping track of the Robert Morris Colonials taking on Cleveland State in the quarterfinals of the Horizon League tournament. The Colonials are currently up by 10, 45-35, with just over 12 minutes left, as you can see it on your screen. Enoch Cheeks has the ball. Cam, the Colonials have done a fantastic job. That's a very nice jumper by Enoch Cheeks. They've done a fantastic job of keeping Cleveland State limited on the offense.
Yeah, earlier in the season, they had a very good matchup against them, close. It came down to a last-second tip ball by Cleveland State. They've been doing some great work so far this game, and a lot of defensive play going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the Colonials have had a little bit of an advantage for almost the entire game, it seems like. Obviously, there was a clock issue like there was last season, but the Colonials, they didn't let that faze them, as they're still up by 10 with just under 12 minutes left in the game at the Wolstein Center in Cleveland, Ohio, with Cleveland State coming down with that rebound.
Yeah, well, we're going to yeah.
Now, we've talked a lot about men's basketball, but we have our expert analyst for women's basketball, Michael Deemer, here to talk with us about the women's basketball season. Obviously, as Cam said, their season came to an end as they lost to the Milwaukee Panthers. Michael, first, what were your thoughts on the season as a whole for the women's basketball team?
It was a tale of two seasons for the Colonials team. We saw in the early stages of the season in November, it was a 6-1 start. It seemed like they had things rolling in non-conference play, and then injuries, as also Candela Ramadan Solis also left the program in the middle of winter break, and just injuries, like I mentioned earlier, with Paris Kirk leaving. Sol Castro obviously did not play all year. So it just was a tale of two seasons for the Colonials. It was they had their peak in November, but it seemed to also snowball a little bit as the season progressed.
Yeah, so with how the season went, who were some of the standout players on this team?
I have to give it to Phoenix Gideon. I definitely think she's the team MVP. In her time this year, she had a lot of double-doubles, a double-double machine, if you will, and she had a stretch of 8 games where she had 6 of them. She had 12 all season. It was a very dominant performance for the Colonials' perspective with Phoenix Gideon on the floor. I also want to give Mackenzie Amelia also some credit as well. She was the oldest member of this program, or the member of this team. So she definitely was a factor for the Colonials team, as I mentioned earlier. She had 6 points a game, probably a little bit below average of what you might expect, 2 assists per game. But Phoenix Gideon, like I mentioned earlier, she had 13 points a game, 8.3, and it just was. I just have to give those two players a lot of credit this year.
Now, Michael, that graphic showed us a little bit of stats. What was something that you thought the Colonials did that they could have definitely improved on throughout the season?
obviously, like I mentioned earlier, the injuries you cannot control, but something you can control is the defense. The 3-point defense, especially early on, like when they had their winning ways, was very, very dominant. At one point, they were 5th in the country in three-point defense. They had a very good 3-point defense all year. I just think that was a very good thing by them. So yeah, I definitely want to say 3-point defense was definitely a factor this year.
So looking into next year, what are things they need to improve upon?
Some things they need to improve upon. Definitely, I think they need a little bit more size. Like I said, Paris Kirk obviously was taller than the rest. Also, yeah, like I mentioned, a lot of injuries. But they also need to get some depth as well. So Castro needs to come back. They desperately needed her. It definitely looked like in conference play. And I definitely think that they need they need to have some good playmaking as well. As I mentioned, Mackenzie Millie only had 3 assists, so if they have a lot more playmaking, pass the ball pretty well, maybe more crisply, it definitely would be a factor going into next year. A very more experienced bunch as well.
And you mentioned Sol Castro. What are some expectations for her next year? And are you surprised that she never announced a red shirt or came back to play this year? Yeah,
it definitely was a little bit unknown for Sol Castro this year. We thought that she would be out for the year, then it turned into, is she going to come back on the floor at all? It just was, Sol Castro was desperately needed on the floor. And for a red shirt, I honestly can't speak on that. It looks like she wants to probably come home to Argentina. That could be a factor as well. So Sol Castro is definitely needed for this Colonial team. It's just a matter of if she needs a redshirt year, then she would have probably used it by now, I believe.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us here on CSC. Now, we've got a little bit of a look back to halftime of the men's basketball game. There's a crew up at the Wolstein Center. Colonials are currently up by 8, but we have a crew of Ethan Morrison and Sam Goldberg to give you more from halftime at the Wolstein Center.
All right, thank you, Kevin and Cam. So at the end of the first half, the Colonials hold a 32-28 advantage. Ethan, it's been quite a back-and-forth affair. The three-pointers not falling early for both teams, but the defense has been there. Give me your first half thoughts for both sides.
Yeah, I think for Robert Morris, it's pretty much more of the same of what they've been going through over the course of the year. They're playing their game. They're staying within themselves. They're not trying to force any three-point shots, and they're doing, for the most part, a pretty good job defensively, being able to shut down the three-point shot for Cleveland State. But I think they're just doing a tremendous job on the inside, doing a great job getting points in the paint. It's really what they need to do, especially when that three-point shot is not falling. And also, the bench for Robert Morris has also been very strong. Michael Green, the third, paces all scorers with 10. So paces both teams there. So just the bench has been able to put together a pretty nice performance so far in this one, and that is why Robert Morris has a slim lead going into the second half of play.
Acha, and you said, as you alluded to, the shooting has been lights out so far. Both teams shooting over 45% from the field. It's been great basketball to watch so far in the quarterfinals here in the Barstow Horizon League tournament. What are your second half thoughts going in for the Colonials? What do they have to do to be successful?
Just stay within themselves, stay within their game, continue to do what's worked for them this year, which is get the ball inside and attack down low. Use Stephon Walker, use Khalil Spear. That's what they're going to need to do to have a chance to win this game. And if those looks open up from beyond the three-point line, take some of those looks. It's, hopefully some of those will fall for them, but as of now, just continue to stick to what's working for you and continue to work the ball down low.
And then finally, things are getting a little bit chippy here. We've had clocks go out. Time is literally slowing down. There's been warnings issued for both sides. Both teams getting chippy. This is Horizon League playoff basketball.
It's Horizon League playoff basketball in the Wolstein Center. What more can you ask for? 2 straight years of that happening, but can't be more happy. For this scene. It's a great crowd, great atmosphere for both teams. So it's what you can ask. You can't ask for anything more in postseason basketball.
Gotcha. The Colonial faithful did show up today as well. It's been loud. Thank you guys. We'll send it back to Kevin and let's send it back to Kevin and Cam in the studio.
Thank you, Sam and Ethan, for that update up in Cleveland. And let's take an update right now. Just under 10 minutes left. Colonials are leading 47-41. And other sports going on at RMU. Women's lacrosse is getting into full swing of their 2023 season. Let's take a look at how they fared this weekend. Well, the women's team took on Bucknell as they took on the Bison. Unfortunately, they fell in this game. A lot of tough scheduling goes into the women's lacrosse team's non-conference schedule. And here you can see it, a score of 15-8. Chelsea Coleman led the team with 4 goals, sophomore, and Emily Baird with 4 goals for the Bison. And a lot of goals have been given up by the Colonials and not many goals for. And with this tough schedule, it's just not going as well. And that drops them to 0-3 on the season.
On the men's lacrosse side, it was quite the opposite as they traveled to Buffalo, New York to take on Canisius as they look to remain undefeated, as they look to move to 3-0 as they took on the Golden Griffins in the cold place of Buffalo, New York. And the Colonials would remain undefeated. They won by a score of 13-8 and moved to 3-0 on the year. David Burr with 3 goals and 2 assists, and Taggart Clark with a fantastic 5-goal game. Colin Kelly with 4 goals and Jackson Fridge with 3 assists for the Golden Griffins.
Well, with the RMU men's great performance, let's take a look at some of the honors they have received so far this season. As you can see, Taggart Clark won Player of the Week and Nate Randall won Defensive Player of the Week. Taggart Clark in 2 games put up 9 points with 7 of them being goals, and in 2 games, Nate Randall with 2 wins and 22 saves. Some outstanding play by both of them.
Now, when we come back, we'll have more from the Wolstein Center as the Colonials still lead Cleveland State, and a women's soccer player is coming back from a major injury. Stay tuned here on CSC.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center, and we're going to take an update on the Robert Morris versus Cleveland State game. And just a few seconds ago, Josh Corbin hit a big-time 3 to put the Colonials up by 10.
Now, some breaking news from this game. Khalil Spear landed awkwardly on his left ankle about a minute ago with about 9.5 minutes left. He's currently on the bench. Looks like he's resting his left ankle. Definitely something to keep in mind and stay tuned about as the Colonials are up by 8 with just over 8 minutes left. This has been a very competitive game from the jump, even with the clock issues. Now we're going to move on to some softball action as the softball team was in action in Charleston as they participated in the Low Country Classic and against teams like Rutgers, Syracuse, and of course Charleston. We're going to see how the team fared at the Low Country Classic. Now in game number 1 of the Classic, they fell 10-1 in 6 innings to Rutgers. Obviously not a good performance there, but in game 2, they would come back and beat Syracuse 8-6. Saturday, they fell to Syracuse 3-2. In game 2 on Saturday, they were shut out 3-0 by Charleston. And on Sunday, they would get their revenge and beat Charleston 4-0.
Another spring sport in action. Track and field traveled to Purdue Fort Wayne to partake in the Horizon League, or Indianapolis, my apologies. They traveled to Indianapolis. Let's take a look at what happened in the indoor championships. Tara Gologram coming second in the long jump. And then the team finished 7th out of 9th within the Horizon League. And as you can see below, some of the other stats going on.
Now, I mentioned before the break the women's soccer player that was coming back from a major injury. Karu Hiyashi is coming back from a major injury, and our own Evan Basista has more.
For kids in Japan, there are plenty of options to get involved in sports. However, for Amma native Karu Hayashi, playing soccer was always going to happen.
I'm on.
So
After
I
this,
have
is it break?
older sister and I have twin. And my dad used to play soccer until high school, and then my older sister used to play. So like, there's like no choice to like not to play it. So like, it's kind of like automatically to start.
Hayashi has been playing soccer in North America for her entire university career. She began with 2 seasons at Snow College in Ephraim, Utah, where she led the program to back-to-back conference championships. When she transferred to Robert Morris, there was a rough patch.
Like as a transfer student, I transferred here like from spring semester. So I feel like I knew like transferring is like hard, because you know like people already like kind of like close and like know each other. But like, and then it was like during like COVID, so like it was so hard to like, you know, like hang out, like to have like new friends, like, you know. So like it was actually so hard, especially I'm like an international student, so like my English was like not like I was not like confident to speak, and like even like now a little bit like I feel that way, but like 2 years ago was like more like feel like I just want to like stay like away, like, you know.
It was announced last month that she was cleared to play again following a long recovery process for an ACL tear, but it was not always clear that that would be the case during the process.
So it was almost like more a year, and it was my second time on the same knee, so like I even thought like quitting soccer, because I was not confident to be back like 100%, and like I was kind of like scared like people like would think I was like I'm like not like good as I was before. So like it was actually the hardest time like I've ever experienced. But like people surround me, like my family, friends back home, like always cheering me up, and like they always believed in me coming back stronger. And then like that was my like biggest motivation to come back. And yeah, it was hard, but like I'm so happy to be back right now.
With a number of key younger players on the team, such as freshman Elisa Korvalin, Renee Moorbacher, and Paloma Swankler, there was an opportunity for older players like Hayashi to help lead them.
I mean, I don't really talk a lot, but I think my strength is like hardworking. So like it's not like the typical in general like captain or like leadership, but like I think I would like lead and like show like, you know, like
lead by example.
Yeah. So yeah, no worries.
As the women's soccer team gets ready to start their spring season later this month, Hayashi shared what she is most looking forward to.
I just came back to play, so like I'm kind of like not like, I mean I'm fully back on the pitch, but like I'm not fully back as like my technique, like, you know, like soccer stuff. So I'm trying to be back like my technical stuff, like soccer, like everything stuff, you know. Yeah, and then just like be ready for fall, because this fall is gonna be the last semester for me, and then like playing in the US here, so.
Hayashi will look to pick up where she left off in the 2021 fall season. For Colonial Sports Network, I'm Evan Basista.
Thank you, Evan. And when we come back, we're going to give you another big update on the men's basketball game, and stay tuned for the top 5 plays here at CSC.
When I first saw Turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We had this like deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. As we mentioned before the break, we've got another update from the Wolstein Center. The Colonials are currently up by 6 points with just over 4 minutes left in the game. And that news about Khalil Spear, we've got more. He's back on the court, so it seems like that ankle didn't sideline him for very long.
Yeah, really close game. Only a 2-possession game. It's going to come down to the wire, just like the last time these two teams faced right there.
Yeah, the Colonials have just absolutely had some real close games throughout the entire season, as there was just a foul called on the Colonials, but we head to under 4 minutes left in the game. Colonials still up by 6 points as they head to the under 4 media timeout.
Well, we're going to take a look at
top 5 plays.
Top 5 plays.
It's the favorite, best segment of the week.
I almost forgot it, man. My bad. Well, let's get right into the top 5 plays. We've been waiting for these top 5 plays just like we've been waiting for summer. And we're going to start off with Phoenix Gideon versus the Youngstown State. Here she gets it at the top of the arc. Whoop! Crosses her up, throws her in the deep blue paint, and she went for a swim.
Yes, she did. Fantastic play by Gideon. As Michael mentioned earlier, she has been fantastic. Now, that first round game against IUPUI, Khalil Spear, we just mentioned him, throws it down with the right hand. That ankle wasn't bothering him that night, and you're going to see a lot more of him in these top plays.
Yes, we will. And next minute, he comes down and gets another put-back dunk right on top of everybody, right in front of all the Colonial crazies, making the event center shake, just like the rim.
Play. Super athleticism from Khalil Spear. And hey, guess what? If you didn't have enough of Khalil Spear, here he comes again from the side. Right-handed jam again. Just a Khalil Spear show. What else can you say about it?
Yeah, great performance. He always lays down the law at the event center.
Yes, he
and
does.
Number 1 play. We know what it is. Mike Green. Time clicking down. Yeet! It's in. Buckets with 2 seconds left to send IUPUI home. Look at this, though. Very close at the end. I was a little nervous there.
Michael Green III, that is your top play of the week in Colonial Sports. Another look, just ice cold. Michael Green.
Look at them all react. What a great.
It was a great moment.
Great atmosphere, great game.
Center. Now, one more real quick update from the Wolstein Center. Currently still in commercial at the under 4 media timeout, but the Colonials are still up 57-51. Just under 4 minutes left. It's really nice that Khalil Spear is back in because, as we saw with those top 5 plays, they're going to need him.
If they want to win, he is going to be a key part along with Mike Green. Big part.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the time is running out at the Wolstein Center and time's running out here on the show. That's all we have for you this evening. For Cameron Carliola, I'm Kevin Plaza. For everyone upstairs and downstairs, and Michael Deemer, we'll see you in 2 weeks here on CSC.